Okay, this is a quick tutorial on how to export a level using our level tool. Your scene should be laid out such that everything has a 4-letter prefix on it. All meshes should be mesh underscore DNC. Things can be labeled as NoCo or scene for the actual shell of the world. Now to load our plugin, you do import level export. You can just grab this line right here, Control Enter, and grab level export.main GUI. That brings up the main GUI. You can actually take this whole series of things minus the reload and just drag them right up here to the timeline and make a new Python button, so this way you have this for quick and easy access. So here's what we have. We have a number of options when we're setting up our scene. First thing you're going to want to do is use the export directory. What this does is this standardizes where all these files are going to go. You can use the root project path, which will take anything that you have as your set project and use that. It'll dump it in the root directory, so it won't go in scenes or data, it'll just go into that folder. Or you have the option of actually choosing where you want your files to go. I generally dump mine to the desktop. Next step is pretty important. If you have all these things referenced, you're going to want to hit import references. And what this does is this saves out a temporary scene and makes all of these files actually look like real geometry. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we have a brand new scene. You're going to make sure you actually have saved before you do that. So now if we're going to actually build this into something we can use in the engine, we have something down here called scene collision creation method. We have two options for this. We can actually duplicate a mesh, or we can use a custom mesh. The big difference between these is duplication of meshes will actually take one of these and duplicate it and leave the original one intact. Custom mesh will take something and just combine it with a whole bunch of other things, namely anything else labeled mesh, but it'll destroy your original. So depending upon whether or not you've built a custom collision for your frame, determines which one we want to use. Right now we don't have a custom collision piece for this, so we're going to actually take the scene shell and we're just going to grab the selected one and make sure it goes into this field over here. Alright, triangulate scene meshes. What that does is that actually will triangulate this scene file. Generally for right now you want to leave that checked on. Later on down the line we may have to uncheck that because we're going to wind up doing shells a different way, but I'll let you know about that. Alright, so we're all looking good. We got everything we need. We got to go down here to name, and we're going to give this thing a really cool name. So right now all of our names are DNC underscore. I'm going to put this as level 02 because that's the easiest one to test for. It's actually level 01 and then level. So that's what the name is going to read out as. We can actually export a compiled MA, which is after we're done running through these processes, it'll actually save out a version, an MA file for us, which is kind of cool in case you have to go back and actually edit something later on. Generally cool to keep that option. We're going to hit export, and there we go. We have everything has been taken care of for us. We have our level collision block, which has just generated all of these collisions for us. I'm going to go ahead and hide that. And as you see here, we also have our shell, which has been triangulated for us. So, yeah, pretty cool tool. The other thing you're going to want to note, on our desktop now, we set our directory, we have 4 files. We have a scene, we have a temporary file, we have our MA, and we have our object list. For the most part, you can take the temp file and just delete it. That doesn't really matter. This was the one you'd want to keep around if you want to have an MA on hand. But for the most part, these are fairly expendable. You don't really need to keep these around either. They're just kind of nice to have sometimes. So then you just are left with your 2 files. You're left with your scene file and you're left with your object list. And that is the easiest way we can actually get everything out into the engine and get it done. So with that, that concludes the tutorial on how to use this nifty little tool. Try it out.